Hebrews 12, verse 9. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? First, I want to say, Kol Halah, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. In this lesson, we're going to get into the true meaning of hell in the scriptures and what the lake of fire actually is in the scriptures. So in Hebrews 12, verse 9, one of Yahweh's titles is the Father of spirits. Why is that? Because every spirit on the earth comes from the Heavenly Father Yahweh. And when we die, this flesh decomposes into the earth and our spirit goes back to the Heavenly Father in the spiritual realm. There is no hell like the wacky-tacky Christians would believe there is a burning place that exists. No, that doesn't exist. Nowhere in the Bible did Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai create hell. Hell is more of a state of mind, a condition that you're in on the earth. Because the judgment, the scriptures deal with reincarnation. So you play out your judgment on earth every time you reincarnate. And I'll get some more precepts on that. This is Ecclesiastes 12, verse 7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it. So when you die, your spirit leaves your body and goes back to the Father Yahweh in the spiritual realm, while the body that your spirit left is decomposing back into the earth, because ultimately our bodies are made of dust. They're made from the ground, as it says in Genesis. So you're going to have to stand before the judgment seat of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, as it says in 2 Corinthians 5, verse 10, when you die. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Hamashiach, that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he had done, whether it be good or bad. So when you die, your spirit leaves your body stays and decomposes on the earth, your spirit goes back to the Heavenly Father Yahweh and Yahweh Shai as well in the spiritual realm, and you're going to be at the judgment seat getting judged by them before you reincarnate again and then live out that judgment on the earth, another time. This is Numbers 14, verse 18. The Lord Yahweh is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. So when you die and your spirit leaves your body and goes to the spiritual realm back to the Heavenly Father Yahweh, his only begotten Son Yahweh Shai, you will reincarnate back to the earth every 3 to 4 generations from whatever tribe you're from. So for example, if you're an Israelite man, you'll keep reincarnating as an Israelite man. If you're an Israelite woman, you will keep reincarnating as an Israelite woman. And then, if you're an Edomite man, you're going to keep reincarnating as an Edomite man. If you're an Edomite woman, you will keep reincarnating as an Edomite woman. And it's so on and so forth for the rest of the tribes on the earth. And to prove that even more, Deuteronomy 24, verse 16, the fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. So this verse proves even more that we are our forefathers, and we're paying for the sins of our past lives till this day. Before I get into reading this verse, I just want to say you reincarnate through sexual reproduction, by your parents on the earth. Now, continuing, Ecclesiastes 3, verse 16, and moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. So, King Solomon knew that judgment took place on the earth because he saw under the sun the judgment, the place of judgment, that is the earth. There is no heaven or hell. Heaven will be on earth, and what the wacky tacky Christians think hell is, it doesn't exist. There is a separate realm where a place burns forever that doesn't exist. Hell is a state of mind, a condition that you're in, living your judgment on the earth. And, we're going to get more into that in detail later on in the lesson. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 17, I said in mine heart, power shall judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. So judgment takes place on the earth. It always has been on the earth. This is Ecclesiastes 1, starting at verse 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done, that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. Basically saying there's no new thing on the earth, that's happening. What's happening now has happened back then. It's just in a different font. That's all it really is. Verse 10, is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It had been already of old time, which was before us. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. So when you die and you go to the spiritual realm, then you reincarnate, you don't remember your past lives. Because if you remember your past lives, you'll be bugged out. It'll be too much to bear. So Yahweh Shah, have mercy on us by not making us remember our past lives, right now in this wicked flesh. And we go to Ecclesiastes 3, verse 15. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and power required that which is past. So this is telling us that we are being judged for our past life sins currently as we speak. Okay, this is Luke 16, starting at verse 19. This is regular. This is Yahushua speaking. This is a parable that Yahushua spoke that lets us know about, what it means to be in hell, that it means a condition, a state of mind. Starting at verse 19, there was a certain rich man, which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate, full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. So, right now, that's the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Israelites scattered abroad. That's us, Right now, we're at the bottom, hoping for a seat at the table. But the hopeful elect knows that there is no seat at the table. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and these heathen nations teamed up with the so-called white man will not allow the Israelites to sit at the table because they know it would be too powerful. Continuing at verse 22, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest die good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. So soon Yahweh will send Yahweh Shai to reverse the situation that we're in right now. Soon the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the Israelites, the chosen people of Yahweh Shem Shai, will stop being on the bottom, stop being in hell, and stop suffering, begging for a crumb, and we'll be on top, ruling over all the nations on the earth, because the Israelites were oppressed by every single nation on the earth. So now, when Yahushua returns and he's ruling with the 144,000 under him, the Israelites will oppress every nation on the earth, and all heathen nations will be in hell. And now they're gonna say, "Have mercy on us," but they didn't have mercy on the Israelites, so we're not gonna have mercy on the heathen. And the heathen are gonna be on getting the shit end of the stick, instead of us. Now we're comforted, the Israelites are comforted, while the heathen are in a state of mind of hell, in a condition of hell, because now they're being oppressed by the Israelites. This is another precept on hell being a state of mind and a condition. Jonah 2 verse 2, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord Yahweh, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice. So this is when Yahweh Ma'ashem Shai cast Jonah into the belly of a whale, because Jonah was being disobedient to Yahweh Ma'ashem Shai. So Jonah, cried out to Yahweh Ma'ashem Shai, saying, I'm in hell. My condition, I'm in the belly of a whale. I'm in a condition of hell. My state of mind is in hell, So Jonah cried out to Yahweh B'Shem Shai, and then, Yahweh B'Shem Shai, was able to get Jonah out of that belly of the whale. And, Jonah, from then on, obeyed Yahweh B'Shem Shai. Now we're going to get into what the lake of fire really is. This is Revelation 17, starting at verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and the King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. This is talking about Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America. America will be turned into a lake of fire. This is going to be judgment from Yahweh B'Shem Shai for what America has done to the Most High's Yahweh B'Shem Shai chosen people, the Israelites, for what they've done to us in slavery. And how do we know this is talking about America? Well, it's the whore that sit upon multiple waters. And, one of America's nicknames is the melting pot, since there's so many people there from different locations of the world just mixed in there. And also, all other places in the world, all other countries in the world look up to America and want to try to be like America. But, as each day gets closer and closer to Yahweh Shai's return, many people are seeing America for what it is, and they don't want no parts of it anymore. Many people are actually leaving America and going back to their own lands. That's how bad America is getting. Verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. The 10 horns they're talking about NATO and EU, the allies of America. The allies of America, NATO and EU, they will turn on and betray America and shoot their missiles, their ICBM missiles, those international continental ballistic missiles. They're going to betray America and shoot them at America instead of their first enemies. No, they're gonna realize America ain't shit, and they're gonna shoot their missiles at America. So they're gonna burn America and turn it into a lake of fire. The reason why it's gonna turn into a lake of fire is because everyone in the world will shoot missiles at America. All countries, like all the enemies, will join together just to destroy America. You know, so there's gonna be an estimate of 200 million plus ICBM missiles hitting America, which will turn it into a lake. Verse 17, for power hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of power shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So yeah, it's going to be bad for America, you know. This is Zechariah 14 verse 12. And this shall be the plague where the Lord Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. So this is clearly talking about ICBM missiles. Clearly this is talking about ICBM missiles, because what else can make your flesh consume itself from within? So, this verse, Zechariah 14 verse 12, this is how we know that this is talking about ICBM missiles. That will come upon, a lot of parts of the world, but not the entire earth. The entire earth won't be destroyed. The main targets on Yahweh Bashim Shai's hit list is America and Israel. This is Ezekiel 38, starting at verse 1. And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against them. So Yahweh is telling Ezekiel, look towards the Russians and see what I'm going to do with the Russians. Watch the Russians. Going to verse 3, and say, thus saith the Lord power Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even with a great company with bucklers and shields, all them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So I'm going to keep reading, actually. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah in the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So Yahweh is telling Ezekiel that Russia will guard Iran. No, because Persia is Iran, and Russia will guard Iran, and the other allies listed with Iran. At the Middle East, going into World War III. Verse 8, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people, against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus say the Lord power Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates. So Yahweh is going to put an evil thought in the Russians, and the allies of Russia, and they're going to go to America because they're going to invade America. America is the land with unwalled villages. As we have recently seen with the migrant situation, Joe Biden let in like millions of migrants. So we know this. We know that verse 11 is talking about America because that migrant situation. We know that sleeper cells are here already, and they're ready to go. So we know America is the land of unwalled villages. That the Russians and the allies of Russia will invade in the latter days, in the end times. Continuing to verse 12, to take spoil and to take prey, to turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. So Russia and the allies of Russia will invade America, and then that will ultimately lead to America being shot with missiles, ICBM missiles, and being destroyed at the end. So Yahweh Shem is, telling us what's going to happen, telling us the playbook for the end times, so we're not surprised. This is Isaiah 34, starting at verse 1. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord Yahweh is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He had utterly destroyed them. He had delivered them to the slaughter. So in verse 4, and all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as falling fig from the fig tree. So when the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, that's talking about mushroom clouds after the nukes hit. Verse 5, for my sword, and what's a sword? A sword. What does a sword mean in this context? A sword can mean a killing instrument of any kind. So it can be a gun, a knife, a grenade, a tank. But in this case, it's a missile, because as you continue reading, it'll tell you why it's a missile. For my sword, a killing instrument, shall be bathed in heaven. So we know, since it says it shall be bathed in heaven, that means it's a missile, because only missiles can go into the sky. Only missiles can be bathed in heaven. So I'm going to read it again. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. And whose Idumea is Edom? It's the nation of Edom, Esau, the so-called white man, the Caucasians. And it's going to come upon them on Babylon the Great, because we know the so-called white man rules in Babylon the Great. And, the Amalekites are Israel as well. Verse 6, the sword of the Lord Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord Yahweh hath the sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of the Lord's Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. So what's the controversy of Zion? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, having the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom in slavery, being oppressed together in America. So Yahweh Shem is going to pay Esau, Edom, the Caucasians back with ICBM missiles, destroying America with an overkill of missiles. Verse 9, and the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust therefore into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. So Yahweh Bashem is letting us know that America is going to turn into a lake of fire after those 200 million plus ICBM missiles, hit it. And then it's going to burn for a while, but it won't burn forever. Eventually, uh, America, Babylon the Great, America will turn into a desert and no one will inhabit it. No human being will inhabit it. The only thing that's going to inhabit it is literally in verse 11, actually. It will tell you right here. But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl also and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. So basically, it's going to be for the wild beasts to inhabit the desert of America, after America's utterly destroyed. This is Revelation 21, verse 8. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So Babylon the Great being hit with 200 million plus ICBM missiles, being destroyed by fire and brimstone, because those ICBM missiles are going to hit like a stone while exploding on impact. So it's going to be that second death, because we know, as it says in the scriptures, the first death was the flood, during Noah's time. And now in the end times, the second death will be by fire and brimstone, by ICBM missiles, hitting certain parts of the world, but mainly Babylon the Great, America, and Israel. So with that, I want to say, Kal Allah, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Lord willingly, I pray that was an edifying lesson. And with that, I want to say shalom.